Single mums Cindy Davison and Alistair Brand met 15 years ago when Cindy's 4-year-old daughter Tammy brought them together at a local gym.
She came and asked me to tie her shoelaces, and well, Mom came with a package, yeah.
The bond was instant, and a year later the couple were married. Alistair adopted the little girl and the Brands became a family of 3. But Tammy had bigger plans.
Tammy always was begging, please give me a brother or a sister.
And so, when Tammy was 12, they began to try and have a baby.
When I was 18, the last thing I ever thought that would happen to me is that I'd fall pregnant. You know, I was Miss Fertility herself. And yeah, it certainly wouldn't be a problem.
But Cindy was wrong. 2 years later, the Brands were still not pregnant. Beginning to feel uneasy, Cindy called a fertility expert. But she never made the appointment. Tragedy struck in a way she least expected. At 14, Tammy was killed in a horrific car accident.
It's not something you expect. You kind of think, you know, she's going to be fine and she's going to come out of this, and you'll take your child however she is. You know, you just don't think that it's possible for them to be taken from you.
Cindy and Alistair say it was a year before they started to pick up the pieces of their lives. But now that Tammy was gone, their need to rebuild their family became that much more urgent. But 2 years and 2 miscarriages later, Cindy and Alistair were desperate.
I just said to Alistair, you know, what is wrong with us? Why is all this happening?
You do feel cursed.
Alistair and Cindy are not alone. According to fertility experts, 1 in every 5 South African couples is infertile. And until now, the only hope of ever having a baby has been to turn to conventional medicine, which can be expensive and physically and emotionally draining on the couple.
But alternative medicine is offering viable options. Dr Colin La Grange is a Durban homeopath. For the last 8 years, he's been perfecting a series of natural remedies to help couples fall pregnant.
We're not trying to fix the fertility as much as we're trying to get the body to correct itself.
According to Colin, many couples who appear to be infertile are actually hormonally out of balance.
It's like a flat battery. You can put it in a torch and you'll get a very dim light. So effectively the torch can still work, but it's not enough to get it to shine the light that you want.
Cindy had been down the in vitro fertilization or IVF road twice at a cost of 45,000 rand. Both times the pregnancies had failed to take, and an infection after one of the miscarriages resulted in a blocked fallopian tube. Then a friend suggested she see Colin.
And I thought, well, at this stage I'm so desperate, I'll try.
Although Colin agrees that the conventional medical route has proven to be successful in the treatment of infertility, he says that in his experience, he's found that it is often the cocktail of drugs given to patients which inadvertently results in the woman becoming infertile.
If you give the wrong drugs to the wrong type of case, you're definitely going to push the person, you're going to exacerbate their problem.
Besides the scar tissue on her uterus, Colin suspects that the main reason Cindy couldn't carry her IVF pregnancies to term was because of the low levels of progesterone, the hormone that helps mature the womb's lining. And because IVF is a standardized treatment and not tailored for each patient, she was also given high levels of follicle-stimulating hormone, or FSH, the hormone that tells the ovary to release the eggs. Cindy naturally was already producing abnormally high levels of FSH on her own.
If their problem is already a high FSH where they're not responding and you give them an FSH stimulator, you're going to cause the body to eventually become less reactive to that FSH. And then the people are told that they're going into early menopause.
Simply put, Cindy's body had stopped responding to FSH and her egg production had become erratic. Over a 3.5-month period, Colin used a combination of natural Chinese medicines and acupuncture to naturally reduce her FSH production and boost her progesterone levels, in the end, reversing her premenopausal state.
58, 81, 187. So that means that your follicles growing, making a good lining. We need the right amount of hormone at the right time, supporting the body to be able to correct its own regulatory function is the most important aspect in the treatment.
What did you think of his philosophy?
Initially, I thought, the chap's wacky, sure.
But despite Alistair's reservations, Cindy followed Colin's program and fell pregnant. Today, her baby Kyle is 14 months old, healthy and happy, and the brands have joined Colin's growing list of successful conceptions.
When you've tried for so long to have a baby and the baby's finally there, and you sort of look at it and it's almost disbelief.
But not all the people Colin treats have as complicated a medical history as Cindy and Alistair. He says infertility is becoming an international epidemic, and he blames our stressful lifestyles.
Colin says stress is nature's contraceptive because it produces cortisol, a hormone that creates a fight or flight response in our bodies, seriously hampering the chances of falling pregnant.
If we put cortisol here, sitting here is progesterone. Progesterone is the precursor to testosterone, and testosterone is the precursor to estrogen. So those are your three sex hormones, and here sits stress. Stress takes precedence. It is more important for you to stay alive than to have a baby.
Kate Bruce and Martin Coetzee are your average young couple. They put off having children while they establish their careers in highly competitive fields. Kate is an actress and Martin an IT consultant. But when they finally decided to start a family, the carefully planned path they had mapped out for themselves took an unexpected turn.
All my friends have children. They were all married much younger than I was at the normal time. They all had their kids at the normal time. And you suddenly go, in the world of statistics, they've all had them with no problem. And there's every chance that I am the statistic.
Unlike Cindy and Alistair, there were no apparent problems with Kate or Martin. Kate had no physiological problems and Martin's sperm results were normal, yet they were still battling to conceive.
I call it your fare. Your fare is your salary. Food and water, air, rest and emotions. Cortisol is your credit card. Our credit card, unfortunately, now is starting to bounce off its limits.
Colin says when we use up our cortisol like this, there's nothing left over to kickstart our sex hormones, which in turn help create sperm and the release of ova. Besides the stress of daily living, Kate's fears were also fueled by Martin's reluctance to go with what he saw as conventional medicine's invasive route.
To me, drugs just aren't a natural choice. They're not the first thing that I say that's what's going to solve my problem.
So Colin's approach became that much more attractive. Besides natural medicines, Colin also makes use of other alternative treatments in an attempt to de-stress and re-energize the body's nervous system.
We do acupuncture. We use reflexology to complement the acupuncture because it's also meridian therapy. We use a form of chiropractic called network spinal analysis, which works very much on the autonomic nervous system.
He also incorporates laser, light and color therapies, which he says he uses to reactivate the body's living tissue. Martin and Kate spent 9 months on Colin's program before Kate fell pregnant.
It was just this certainty. Everyone just absolutely knew.
Kate is now 2 months from full term and is glad she didn't go the conventional medicine route, where she believes she would have been quite detached from the whole process.
Homeopathy is not about that, and what Colin does is certainly not about that. It's about working together.
The idea of joining forces and working together to treat the increase in infertility both locally and internationally appears to be embraced by medical disciplines traditionally seen as sitting on the opposite sides of the fence. Dr. Jonathan Hansen is a leading fertility expert in Durban.
Well, I think the world is changing, and so likewise we are changing. We are coming to recognize that alternative medicine do play an important role in the lives of patients.
But he says there are some areas in which alternative medicine is not going to work.
If a patient's got blocked fallopian tubes, alternative methods of treatment for infertility is not going to work. The only form of therapy there is in vitro fertilization. If the male has got no sperm, and where it has to be extracted from the testes, then alternative therapy is not going to work.
I don't expect them to now suddenly think this is the answer to everything, but what I would like is for them to acknowledge that in certain cases where they can't help, there is something else people can try.
Colin's results would appear to be impressive. With a current success rate of 63%, he outweighs the 22 to 25% odds that are given by IVF specialists. In addition, Colin's treatment costs about 3,000 Rand a month, whereas IVF can cost anything from 15 to 20,000 Rands for a single treatment. However, Hansen says that in order to quantify a program like Colin's, there would have to be proven scientific data to back up the method.
Anything in medicine has to be reproducible. Now, alternative medicine has to do the same. It has to be practiced by many individuals, employing the same methodology, and if they can reproduce the results, then maybe, yes, it will stand the test of time.
I wouldn't exist if there were other treatments that were working for these people. I'm not claiming it as the all cure. I'm saying there's a lot of people that need assistance.
Cindy and Alistair Brand, delighted with the results of their first treatment, have for the last 5.5 months been seeing Colin again. And on Monday morning this week, Colin confirmed the good news. Cindy is pregnant again.
I really believe we've been blessed and things are certainly changing for the better.
Luck is definitely turning around.